Good morning, Devils fans. With it being another off day here, and by off day, I just mean no new information in the morning for me to go off of, as there is an 11 a.m. practice. Hopefully, we get some good news about Nico, at least if he is traveling on this road trip or not. I wanted to dive into another little segment where we've played 8 games so far in the regular season. All the other teams around us have either played exactly that much, if not another game or two extra. And so it is time for a way too early look at the standings and how we are shaping up, at least in relation to the rest of our division. So, for those of you that aren't psychopaths like me and aren't at least semi regularly checking this stuff, even if it's just for pure curiosity, the Devils are top three in the Metro and second place by point percentage. Top of the division in both categories are the New York Rangers. They are 7-2-0. Basically, have been playing absolutely amazing away from MSG. They've only played a couple games there, 7 games on the road for them. So 14 points in 9 games, 7-2-0 record. Um, this segment, really, I'm going to go team by team here in the standings and let you know, are they for real or fraudulent with where they're currently staying? Do we expect them to keep this trajectory, or should we expect a come up or a fall off between these teams? Now, with the Rangers, it's looking pretty good for them. My biggest caveat with the Rangers is going to be their backup goaltending, because Jonathan Quick has started the year insanely well. Insanely well. Obviously, he has the pedigree that says that, yeah, maybe he could do this. But recent years would say might be a bit of a flash in the pan for him. Now, that being said, Shesterkin is still going to get the bulk of the starts, and he is still absolute bona fide stud. So they will very likely continue a fairly decent pace here. Are they going to continue at the 0.778 point percentage? Probably not. Almost definitely not. But if Quick keeps playing like that, and their defensive play, as their forwards are getting more involved with that as well, keeps looking like this, yeah, they're gonna be looking like a scary team through the regular season. Now, what do the stats say here? Well, they're doing pretty good. It's nothing crazy. Basically, on the ice, they are giving up as many chances as they are providing. They are on a bit of a luck bender, but it's nothing obscene. It's essentially they are at 49 to 50% in, or 49 to 51% in all the usual categories I like to look at. Corsi, Fenwick, expected goals for percentage, and stuff like that. So probably going to see a bit of a fall off here at some point, likely being when Quick is in net and Shesterkin can't carry them through a bit. At this point, it's really they are a high danger team. They are also, I believe, now second. It's either second or third on the power play in the league. So they're not too much different than they were last year. The biggest difference is just both goalies are going buck wild, as opposed to just being Shesterkin and their backup being the one where they get a lot of their losses. So expect the Rangers to finish top three, as we have been saying since the start of the season, but I do not expect them to finish first in the division, at least if this current run of play does not hold exactly how they've been doing it, again, with Quick playing out of his absolute mind. Second place, technically, right now, is Carolina with a 6-4-0 record, 10 games played at 12 points. Technically above the Devils by points, but we are ahead of them by points percentage, which is actually what the NHL does go by. For whatever reason, the season ended right now today, we would finish above them in the standings. So what are their numbers looking like? Well, they're the Carolina Hurricanes. They are the analytical darlings, the Corsi abusers, however you want to put it. They just seem to absolutely game, quote unquote, game the analytics in the sense that that's just how their system runs. And are they as deadly as those numbers say? Probably not as deadly, but still pretty deadly. Now, the actual numbers is they're over 60% at 5-on-5 in Corsi. They are just under 59 in Fenwick. Their expected goals for is just over 54%. So all those numbers bear out to, yeah, they're putting up more chances going in their favor than they're getting against them. Their goalies have not been playing the super best, but even all that factored in, they are only slightly unlucky so far to start the season. So this is kind of where we expect them. I assume, almost guaranteed, they will be top three, as we all predicted. Are they a lock for first place in the division? If they keep up this play but actually get the goaltending, that's probably where it's trending. I think their biggest competition is still going to be us, and if the Rangers keep up that level of play, them. But nobody else in the division, I think, is really going to be sniffing these three teams' coattails as we actually get further along into the season. But if the goaltending does not shore up, even though the skaters are putting in the work on the ice, it does not seem like the goalies are. So I could absolutely see them falling second or third in the division if the goaltending does not shape up. But again, the on ice play is still very, very solid, but that's just their system. They've been like this for years. But we see where it's gotten them. I mean, they won out the division last year, so and would have been President's Trophy winners if not for a record-setting season by Boston. Now, quick aside, since I did mention Boston, taking a whole look at the league just so you can kind of get an idea of where the other divisions are kind of ranking up. There are only two teams to not have a regulation loss yet. That is the Vegas Golden Knights, who have a single overtime loss, all dubs other than that, and the Boston Bruins, same exact thing, top two teams in the league. Avalanche were in that conversation until they just dropped their two most recent games. And it's actually fairly interesting. So the Atlantic has one team with a under 500 point percentage. The Metro has two teams. The the Central has three, and then the Pacific has four teams under 500 point percentage. So kind of give you an idea of the strength of each division. I do expect then Vegas to keep running away in the Pacific there as yeah, I mean, it's just it's kind of brutal out in the Pacific with San Jose, Calgary, Edmonton, and Seattle all being fairly oof. I mean, even Anaheim is over 500 out there. They've been kind of playing above where a lot of people had them, and then the Kings and Vancouver playing. Vancouver's playing insane with their top three guys really carrying a lot of the weight there. But this isn't about the whole NHL. Really, just sticking to the Metro on this video, so it doesn't run too long. Next up, technically third in points, but again, second in point percentage. That is your New Jersey Devils. So what do our numbers have it at? Don't need to spend too much time here as I cover it in a lot of the videos. We're crushing it. We have basically, outside of Carolina, the best Corsi, Fenwick numbers, and our expected goal share is right there as well at 53%. All of our numbers over 50% except for the actual 5-on-5 goal share, actual goals that were scored. Reason for that, I've explained this before. We're not getting a ton of grade A chances going against us. The issue is we are having like that one single breakdown a la Brendan Smith letting Maroon just dance by him, or Luke falling at center ice. And basically it's one massive, really good chance that ends up just always seemingly going in. We don't get that big save there. We're getting big saves in other situations, but it's just basically every single breakaway or 201 feels like it's not every single one, but most of them seem like they're going in the net. So they're not racking up a lot of grade A chances to really stack those expected goals against numbers, but instead we're giving up one or two of those. And so it's not building up into a high expected goals against, but the actuals just they're going in. So over a full season, that really should not shape out that way. Should not be much to worry about. If you go by the actual trends on the ice and you look at some of our guys that are underperforming, if they come up to snuff, and even if you account for maybe Jack or Bratt taking a slight step back, although their play does not dictate that that's going to happen, we should still absolutely be top three. For sure, it feels just like an absolute lock looking at the other teams, and definitely can fight for top two spots here as well with Carolina and the Rangers. Now, surprisingly, fourth place in the Metro by points and points percentage are going to be the New York Islanders. They are 4-2-2, 10 points in 8 games, right behind us here on the Devils. Now, their numbers are not as optimistic as the other three teams. That's why I kind of think a gap will continue to widen as the year moves on. They are having more chances, more shots against than they are generating. Now, they are the Islanders, so they can somewhat afford to do that with Sorokin and net, especially when they do have a positive expected goals for percentage at 51%. So it's nothing crazy, but they are slightly generating more chances and over a full season, especially when you have Sorokin and net. That is going to lead to a lot of wins. So they should absolutely be fighting for a wild card spot. Maybe they can, possibly stay in the race for top three for a bit. But just looking at the numbers and the personnel and the teams and trend lines from where the teams are at, it's not likely, I think, that they are to break into the top three. But still, probably just about where a lot of people had them, including myself. Sorokin's going to do a lot of work. They don't have the deepest or craziest of skating groups, but it's just good enough to keep them in the mix for most of, if not the entire season. Now, one of the bigger surprises for me in the Metro is coming up right behind the Islanders with a 4-3-1 record in 8 games at 9 points, the Washington Capitals. Now, that still has them outside of the playoffs. I believe even the Islanders are outside of the playoffs with the Atlantic teams holding those 2 spots there currently. But Caps numbers aren't atrocious. They're not great either. That's why I think they're going to end up falling off here for one of the teams that are currently behind them, which I'll talk about here in a second. Or even 2 of the teams I think might end up passing them. But all their numbers are below 50% across the board. Corsi, Fenwick, expected goal share, all of that. It's just not looking that great. Their power play isn't firing at the most efficient. And so even at full strengths across the board, all situations, again, not the best numbers. Everything's below 50%. So they've been able to squeak out some wins, especially the one against us was one they probably didn't deserve. But we really handed it to them in the first and third. Just like, hey, no, here, have 2 points. We feel bad for you. So Washington is looking like they're in the mix, but if you actually dig into the numbers, they are likely to fall off here as the season moves on. Now, the team behind them, even though they are tied in points, they do the extra game played, so a slightly lower point percentage. That is the Philadelphia Flyers, 4-4-1 record, 9 points in 9 games. Their numbers actually look really good. Surprisingly, 5-on-5, they are above 50% in every category, 51% Corsi, over 53% Fenwick. Their expected goals for percentage is literally a fraction of a hair below 54%, which is really good. If Carter Hart can still play really strong and their backup goaltending doesn't absolutely sink them over a full season. Now we know Torts teams come out really hard and strong and then will taper off as the year goes on. Is just that hard knuckle play that he is either falls apart a bit or the energy isn't there, or the will to do it, or even trade deadline stuff where they're going to end up moving a guy because they will be out of the playoff picture, but they might actually be sniffing wild card for a lot of the season here, surprisingly. I know myself included had them like bottom of the barrel here, but looking at the numbers, that is no longer the case. I no longer have the Philadelphia Flyers as last to finish last year in the Metro. Yeah, I mean, their numbers across the board look good, guys. So I hate the Flyers. I hate Philadelphia fans, but if somehow any of you are watching this, kudos. Team's looking pretty good. Torts is getting getting water out of a rock here. So keep it up, I guess. But yeah, probably still not looking at a playoff position, but should be in the mix for most of the season. At least that's what the numbers are telling us. Now, next up, Columbus Blue Jackets. They're about as bad as most people thought they were going to be. Worse than I thought. I thought probably with that new re-up defense, Fantilli coming in, Line, Gaudreau, there was going to be enough here to do something. Well, it turns out there isn't. All their numbers are pretty bad. One of the worst expected goal for percentages in the Metro, 46.56. Everything's below 50%. The only thing that's even close is their shot share. It's exactly 50% at all situations, which is not that great. So, yeah, no, Columbus, you're looking like you're going to be bottom 2, if not one of the worst teams here in the Metro. BP is going to be very happy about that. Everyone laugh at Ohio. Funny, haha. Not too much else to touch on there. Just, it's not even like they're getting super bad luck or anything. They're, slightly unlucky if you want to argue that, but it's nothing crazy. Yeah, Columbus not doing the absolute best. And finally, last place in the division, which I don't think a lot of people had predicted, and that is your Pittsburgh Penguins, 3-6, 0.3333333 point percentage. Not looking good, guys. But if you're a Pittsburgh fan, all of those numbers look really good. Goaltending is sinking the Pittsburgh Penguins. They are over 50% in everything, like I said, almost 55% Corsi. They are almost 56% expected goal share, 55% Fenwick, 55% shots for. And all situations, same thing. They are almost 54% plus in everything. It is crazy that this team's record is what it is looking at those numbers. So what my prediction would be then in that case is they will rise up through the standings here. They are going to pass Columbus. They're going to pass Washington, who will fall off. And they should pass the Flyers. Now, I think the difference is there because a lot of the numbers are actually fairly close between Flyers and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh definitely has the better skaters. Flyers getting the better goaltending. So what shores up for either? Does the goaltending fall off in Philly? Well, they're going to fall below Pittsburgh if Pittsburgh goaltending picks up even slightly. So my prediction, looking at the numbers right now, is Top three, Rangers, Devils, Carolina. I will still say Devils end up winning the division. I think Rangers go second here, Carolina going third. See how that continues to develop. Fourth, I'm going to stick with the Islanders, but to be honest, I don't feel great about that one. I actually think by the numbers, the Flyers in Pittsburgh have been playing better, but Sorokin is just that good, and I think goaltending can make all the difference. After that, it is going to be between the Flyers and Penguins, with Blue Jackets and Washington rounding out in the bottom two. Again, way too early here, guys. Way too early. I'm just looking at what the shot numbers are telling us, what kind of chances these teams are generating, what the goaltending is looking like, and just what kind of streaks we can expect. We're not even 10 games in yet. Well, Carolina is, but the rest of the division is not. So yeah, this is your way too early look at where I think the division is going to play out as the year moves on. So that's going to do it for today, guys. I'll see you all tomorrow morning, as always, and forever. Let's go Devils.